All right, guys, so today we get an opportunity to talk with someone who just joined the 100K Club. I hope you're excited because they're about to join me right here and do an incredible interview and talk to you about how they've reached $100,000 in profits over the last rolling 12 months and are joining us as the latest 100K Club member. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce you to Michael, who has been a trader now for a couple of years and has finally started to get it to the point where it's now become part of what he does every day. And let's get together and congratulating on not just reaching $100,000 in profits within the last rolling 12 months, but also being verified to have done so and here today with us to share his story. Ready? Let's get straight into it. All right, so here we are with Michael Tobolski. Thank you so much for joining us and congratulations because $100,000 in watch trading profits in a rolling 12 months.
Appreciate it, PJ. Thank you.
And the latest member to join the 100K Club. So it's a pretty good accomplishment, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm extremely excited, but I already have my bar set on the next level. So
you said something to me before this interview kicked off. You said, I'm hungrier now than I've been before.
yes.
So tell me a little bit about what that means. Because I think people watching, I know what it means because I'm in this trade, but people watching may not have had the success you've had yet.
Yeah, so it's kind of, it's kind of crazy because the more I do and the more profits I see, it's kind of like the more I want. So the bar is always moving upwards. Mm-hmm. So, and, obviously, whenever I see there's a little slack or something, it's, constantly, need to readjust right away and see that I can progress it quicker and higher. So it's it's a struggle in a way, but it's a good struggle. You know what I mean?
Okay. So when did you start trading watches?
So the first piece, I bought the course. It was in I think in August 2018.
Okay.
The first piece I got, I think it was around December time of that year.
So right about 2019, the start of 2019. So it's been
right about,
only like 2 years you're basically trading.
Yes, roughly.
That's crazy. So that's crazy because
I
most
agree.
people,
I agree.
like if you started a job somewhere for $30,000, like in a year, you don't usually go to $100,000, in a year later.
No,
it
you
takes
don't.
you like
I've
20
done that
years,
too. Yeah, and I'm still doing it.
So you started in 2019, you bought your first watch. I mean, it takes time sometimes from the time you buy the course and learn watch trading to the time you have the gut to go and do it, right?
That's
what
correct.
kept you from acting earlier?
It's kind of was always overanalyzing the specific watch and then kind of getting stuck and then moving to another watch, overanalyzing that, and they just kind of like rolling, and then eventually I had to basically stop. And I got masterminds, so I had.
You mean you joined the weekly calls we had? Okay.
And I had some type of markers already on specific pieces. So then I just went, you know what, I'm just gonna go and execute on this specific piece right off the mastermind, and that's exactly what I did.
So that's, you said some pretty interesting stuff here. We talked about markers for a second. For people watching that may not know what markers are, it's in part one training. It's basically when you adjust and know exactly the dollar something comes in or comes out for, so you can use that as a marker to try to beat it for next time. But you said you were over-analyzing things. This is important to talk about because I think this is a big problem for a lot of new people trading. What were you doing exactly talking yourself out of buying a watch? I'm just curious as to what were the fears you had to overcome?
Is just, I think it was a fear in general, which I had to overstep and overcome. So I would find the watch and I would, try to see if I could find another watch just like it and then compare them and just basically just get stuck in this loop. Mm-hmm. And you can't really kind of come out of it. Okay. Where in contrast, right now, if I see a piece, I already know what to look for. I already know what questions I need to ask, 3, 4, 5 qualifying questions. And depending on the responses, it's a done deal. Price is good,
Mm-hmm. So how did you get over that fear? I'm just curious, was it just the markers that gave you the confidence to say, screw it, if I lose money, I lose money? I'm just curious as to what was the kind of psychological overcoming, because so many people struggle with that, What was that first watch, by the way?
It was an Omega Planet Ocean James Bond 007,
Okay.
and I got it for I think it was 5,300.
Okay.
So,
The
but
Skyfall one?
yeah, exactly, Skyfall.
That's
right.
not a bad number.
No, it's actually was
It's a really
right.
good
It
number,
was
even
right at
today.
the list. But interestingly enough, I could not really get rid of it.
Okay.
I could not sell it, but eventually I did, and it led me to
How
a
did you
client.
eventually sell it?
I sold it to a gentleman who inquired to me on eBay, and I basically, took him off eBay, and we, struck a deal.
So you basically did exactly what was in the training.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it worked out
It worked out
exactly
well,
as it was
yeah.
supposed to.
And after that, that same client purchased about 8 other pieces from me,
Okay.
and
so-
I've got some. I probably bought another 10 from him.
Okay.
So,
So,
it worked
so
out
you
well.
did so you did exactly what was in the training.
Yeah.
And exactly what was supposed to happen.
Pretty much, yeah.
And then the fear was over.
Yeah. I gave him a smoking deal on that Omega, and he was hooked.
Okay. And then every time after that, made more profits on the same person. Like we're supposed
correct,
to, because
yeah.
we're supposed to sell to retail clients, not to wholesalers.
And
right?
that's pretty much what I do. Like, I try not to wholesale any of my stuff.
Right. I mean, why? I always say, why would you wholesale when you lose the margin, right? Like, I mean, it's so hard to find good inventory.
That's
why
correct.
give away
Yep.
your inventory? Unless
Absolutely
you,
agree.
And the only reason I think people do that is when they get scared. They go like, "Oh, this hasn't moved, or it's not moving." What happened after that? Like, how many watches did you start moving at a time, or did you just keep going one at a time, or did you up it?
So when I had that Omega, it was basically sitting. So, I just kind of thought about it, and I figured I'll throw a bit more money into this, into this whole game.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I bought a few more watches, and they was hitting as well. So,
How much money did you put into the game the second time?
So initially it was like 5,300, like I said, and then I probably put another 10 grand. So I had about 3-4 pieces, all together.
Okay, and this is all
So-
while working a 9 to 5 job,
Yes.
meaning like you're
That's
still
correct.
having
Of
your
course, yeah, yeah.
profession, etc.
Yeah, of
right?
course, yeah.
Okay. How much time did you devote to watch trading when you started?
So probably initially about 4 hours almost every day. Just researching the market, looking at the
Okay.
type of
So
watches.
you put in some effort into the
Of course,
learning.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, I got into it with the intention of pretty much making it.
Okay.
Not like I'm gonna buy it. Oh well, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Like I really wanted it to work.
Okay. Why did you want it to work? Did you want to quit your job? What was the driver? I'm just curious because some people, want to take care of your families. Some people really like we heard from Fizan, the guy before you, who
Yeah,
got the
yeah.
last 100K Club Award. And for him, it was passive income with a direct client pool that matched his existing business. I mean, he's a lawyer. He's not going to
Right, yeah.
destroy his law firm to go become a watch trader.
Of course.
But he wanted to supplement it with something where he was already seeing people, he's wearing nice watches, so it all made sense for him. What was it for you that kind of made you drive you to want to start this?
Well, I mean, I kind of wanted an additional income stream.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it basically, played out pretty well. And, as probably a lot of people like finer things in life, so like cars and watches, so it kind of works out.
Is this
you
ever
know.
going to replace your day job? If it made significantly more money, like you think?
I hope so.
So this is
Yeah.
a goal to eventually,
Eventually,
get
yes.
out of this.
Yes.
I mean, get out of your day job and do this
Yeah,
full time.
yeah, eventually, yes.
Why do you find that to be an attractive proposition to go from a day job to this? Because most
It ju-
people, look
it-
at this and they get scared. They're like, what if it doesn't last forever?
It's just freedom. I think it will last. I mean, market, if it readjusts, it readjusts. So, it's, you just kind of roll with it. But the fact is that you could sit on the beach or sit in your house and just, make few phone calls here and there. And, I bought this, I sold it here, I got that, I sold it there. It just, it's crazy.
Okay. So the freedom of mobility
Yeah.
is what basically attracted you to the idea that you can do this.
Yep. That's
So
correct.
let's go back to the beginning of the journey because there's a lot of people watching this that can't seem to connect where they are buying their first watch and the fact that it doesn't sell instantly. So they see people in the group and they go, oh, this guy sold a watch in a day, 3
Yeah,
hours.
yeah.
He posted in buy sell trade groups, instantly sold. But then there's other people that are like, oh, I've stuck with this. I can't get out of it. I don't know what to do. You were in a similar situation because you said it didn't sell quickly on your first watch. You had
Absolutely.
to sit on it.
I've had a lot of other pieces that were also hitting, but I think what you're asking is the most important thing is to trust your numbers.
Okay.
You have to understand.
So tell people about that because I think that's an important aspect of what leads people to be successful doing this. And I'm just curious, like, what do you mean by trust your numbers?
So trust your numbers is basically, we have this training, thanks to PJ. So, and in the training, you pretty much have a framework of how you need to buy, how you need to sell, which numbers you need to kind of be at, how you need to gauge the market, how to understand at which price point it's a buy, at which price point it's a pass. So as long as you have all these pieces together and you buying these pieces correctly, it's no problem. I mean, as I see it.
Because I've always shared with people that, you have to trust, once you have the right dollar,
That's
you
correct.
just have to trust the process,
That's
even if the
correct.
process takes longer.
I agree.
Did you have to do anything differently to readjust your process selling your first watch?
No, not really. I mean, you just kind of, you do have to be proactive.
Okay. Can you
In a
define
way.
that a little bit for people?
Well, you can't just list the watch on eBay and expect it to sell overnight. You do have to position the watch properly. I mean, the pictures are important. You have to kind of, intrigue the buyer. You know what I mean? Like I've really tried to take some really nice pictures, and I've had a lot of pieces that just sell with a single picture. Against a nice background. It's clean, it's nice, it's kind of exciting, and it's pretty much gone within a day.
Okay.
So other pictures, if I take crappy pictures, it'll sit, and it'll basically obviously you do have to advertise on other platforms. I mean just to get the ball rolling. You can't just list on eBay and expect it to sell.
How much did you sell that first Skyfall for?
I bought it for 53. I sold it for 55.
Okay,
Plus
so
shipping.
So you barely made any money.
Yeah, exactly.
I love stories like this, because it's the reality of the business.
Yeah,
I tell
I
people you
agree.
can't get into the game looking at someone like me that's done it 20 years and be like,
Yeah.
I'm going to make $5,000 on this watch just like everyone else. You have to learn the process, and the process sometimes means that you have to buy things, sell them, and not even make any money or make very little
agree.
money, just so you can learn the flow of the process and move the watches and gain confidence in the markers. So what advice would you give to people who are watching this and saying, well, 2 years from now, I could also be a 100K club member. A year from now, if I devote myself, I could be there. What should they take back from your experience getting here?
Well, I mean, it's a pretty basic thing. You do have to put in a little bit of work. You can't just sit and expect, I'm just gonna go into the Facebook group, I'm gonna buy a watch and make $1,500. So you do have to put in the work, invest in knowledge, invest in education. It's there. I've done it. I have all the classes, and I'm still learning every day.
I found that interesting because you recently joined the One Watch Trading Challenge. Which
That's
was
correct.
Something that you won the first one.
Yes.
First.
Thank you.
So one of the things that happened during the One Watch Challenge that I thought was interesting was I saw some familiar faces that were already in the advanced training, and I asked myself, I was like, why are these people trading their first watch? But then I started realizing that it's just an opportunity for more information and people being
That's
more
correct.
involved and getting better at the process. And the ones that are winning in our community, the ones that are doing big numbers, we see the guys that started 4 or 5 years ago, they started with one watch, now they're doing 300-400K a year. I look at that and I look at it, the power of community, but more importantly, I look at the power of continuous evolution of knowledge, right? We recently launched Part 3, lots of information in there that we discussed before this interview. But, when you look at your future in watch trading, what advice do you have for people that are not there yet and are just getting started? What should they know in terms of getting their first piece out there and getting started in this? What are the expectations that maybe you went through that may be on the clear in the training or in the marketing that we have?
Well, I mean, the expectation should be, you can't really expect to kind of have a win right from the first watch. You have to go through the process, buy a watch, sell a watch, learn the process well, invest in your education, and if you want something out of it, you have to kind of put in the work. I mean, nothing really happens, without work. So, and eventually it'll become easier, it'll become a lot quicker, and you'll have a lot of people reaching out to you, try to sell you their watches for prices where you don't necessarily have to negotiate at all. which is a beautiful thing.
That's the best part.
Yeah,
is
that's
the
the best.
constant flow of
Yep.
inventory without having to do the work. I mean, because
And then-
buying inventory is the hardest part.
Yeah, and then another thing is, I know you've mentioned in your initial training, a few years back, like you recycle your watches, and I was hitting, and I was wondering, I'm like, how do you do? I mean, like, how does that even work? I've had pieces that I recycled 3 or 4 times, same watch, like a grand or 1,500, and every time it comes back out, back out, back out, and it's like, it's crazy.
But isn't that amazing?
No, it's mind-boggling.
Because the watch keeps coming back, and you
Yeah.
make the good margin again on the same item.
Again, yeah.
And you know the item, so you're more familiar with it.
Of
You're
course.
less scared that it's fake. You're less, cautious. About
And it's your
like-
existing client.
right, and you already know,
so,
and they're
yeah.
going to buy something else anyway.
Of course, yeah.
Very, very cool. So, what are you expecting to do this year? I mean, 100,000 in 12 months. What's the next goal?
So next goal, I'm trying to do 300K. So for that, I'll have to readjust a little bit because the type of pieces I'm playing with right now will not get me there. So that's why I have part 3 now, and that's why I'm pretty much selling all of the lower end inventory I have to kind of reinvest that into other pieces.
Very, very cool. So, when you look at your top 5 favorite watches to date trading, what were they?
I do like Breitling. So
Is there a
I've
particular
done-
model? I was
Probably Chronomat, Navitimer is really good.
So you've traded those multiple times.
I've traded those a lot. I had multiple times exactly the same watch. Yep. I do like Hublot as well.
Which models for Hublot? Because people, are probably taking notes, like asking themselves, like,
I mean,
how can I kind of follow
Classic
similar-
Fusion, Big Bang, stuff like that.
Okay.
Classic Fusion Chrono. I think it's a pretty cool watch. I do like Rolex, but I don't necessarily concentrate on them. So if they come to me, I'll take them. I don't really go after them. Just to buy and hold. At the crazy high prices. I don't do that. Like if I get calls from clients, like I'm looking for this, okay, I'll come and get it. I'll hit you one. But to go actively after Rolex, I don't really do that.
Okay.
No.
Is there a reason you've stayed away from Rolex?
You really have to know your numbers, and especially right now, market is so hyped up, so you have to be really careful how you
dangerous.
buy and sell. It's really dangerous, yeah.
Good people have criticized me a lot for staying away from Rolex.
Yeah.
And not sharing it in training. Saying I keep my best training to myself.
Yeah.
Which I barely trade Rolex.
No, it's not
I'm
true.
not a Rolex
Yeah.
fan.
Yeah.
But I think what you just said basically describes why I do that, because it's such a dangerous thing to do at an early stage. Like
Exactly,
in
the
part 3, I
earliest,
go
right.
detail into Rolex.
I agree.
But it's such an easy thing to fall victim to and hurt yourself if you don't know what you're doing. So I want to thank you for being here with us, sharing kind of your story and sharing a little bit about
I
your
appreciate
goals.
it.
Are there any other watches, because I know I asked you for 5, are there any other watches you can recommend people start with or get their feet wet doing this, especially if they're new watching this and aspire to also be in the 100K club?
So I think a good starting point, and that's exactly what I started with, is Breitling, Omega, Hublot. Rolex, but you kind of have to be careful with it. And I don't know what else. I'm kind of drawing a blank.
Did you trade Panerai at all?
Yes, and the PAM, obviously, yes.
Okay.
I've done really well with
What
PAM.
Panerai models do you trade?
312, 1312, 351.
Okay, those are the cheaper, like $4,000 or
Yeah,
$5,000.
yeah. I've done some submersibles.
Is that the range of watches you trade for the most part? 5 to 8K-ish?
I do probably, for the most part, I stay within up to 10K, but I do venture out like 20, 30K, every so often.
Okay, and what is the average hold time for a watch now? Now, not obviously at the beginning was like you said, a couple of months.
So right now, average hold time is about 20 days.
Okay, so still 2.5,
15
3
to
weeks.
20 days, yeah.
And what's the average ROI in a watch?
The last time I checked is about 25%.
That's really good.
Yeah.
It's very strong. Stronger than market by like 12 times, since people are earning 25% a year.
Yep.
You're doing it in 3 weeks. Well, awesome, buddy. I really appreciate you sharing that and appreciate you sharing your story with our members. So listen, guys, I mean, again, you have all the courses, all the training. and
That's
everything
correct.
else. The more knowledge, the faster. If people are on the fence about joining part 2, joining part 3, do you have any recommendations for them? When should they do that? Why should they do that?
Well, the why is really like why shouldn't you do that? I mean, that's a lot of knowledge out there. I mean, I honestly felt that after taking part 1, I realized that I need a lot more. So I immediately looked into other other classes. So I took Cal's class and I took your part 2, and then I joined the masterminds, and that kind of started providing me more of a nice holistic kind of a picture to trading. And then when part 3 came out, I pretty much jumped on it, pretty fast.
And I think that's my best course yet.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think there's a lot of like information in there that isn't
That's
really
correct.
about watch trading. We were talking about that earlier. It's more like money management.
Yep.
But there you have it, guys. Again, a big thank you to Michael for joining
Thank
us today and sharing his story. Any of you guys could be that next 100K club member. So you need to start paying attention to training, running through everything, and of course, making sure that you have not just the tools to be able to do this, but also the gut to get started, even at the cost of potentially losing a couple of $100 to begin with. Because without the process and the action, then the greater results can come later. And I think too often we get stuck in this idea that we have to make a lot of money with every trade. But I've always said some of the best investors in the world, regardless if they're in the stock market and real estate, aren't the ones that know how to win. They're the ones that know how to lose and still keep going. So there you have it, guys. Thank you so much again for joining us. Congratulations again.
Thank you, BJ. Appreciate
I look
it.
forward to that 300K video where
Yeah, I
we're
hope
there,
so.
$300,000 in a rolling 12 month.
hope
And there you
so.
have it. So who will be next? Will it be you? Or will you just keep watching videos of other people doing what you dream of? So there you have it. That's the truth. See you guys next time.